Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dean's Chat, where we discuss all things podiatric medicine. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Jensen. I'm the Dean at the Arizona College of Podiatric Medicine and the host for the Dean's Chat podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Johanna Richey. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We got a special day today. Our guests are from Florida, Dr. Chris Reeves and Dr. Amber Shane. We've been working for a long time trying to get this podcast together with all of our schedules. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Reeves and Dr. Shane.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. We're pretty informal on Dean's Chat, so if it's okay with you, let's go with Amber, Chris, Joe, and Jeff.
Sounds perfect.
Fantastic. Well, we've known each other pretty well over the years, and one of my goals today is to cover your careers. I think the first place we should start, though, is your relationship. I consider you two to be like one of the power couples of podiatric medicine, and Joe and I would love to hear the story of how you met, how you got together. I think our audience would love to hear that too.
So we met. We both went to Barry for podiatric medical school. We were a year apart there, and we were introduced early on, both in student leadership, and both were in APMSA, American Podiatric Medical Students Association, leadership roles. And over the time there, our relationship grew, and obviously, spent a lot of time together and had a lot in common, both professionally and personally. And so our relationship, grew from there.
Oh. So we started dating at the end of Chris's time there at Barry, and I was a year behind. And we went to different places for residency, but got married right after I was done with school. And we had Chris was a college baseball player, and I was a college tennis player. And like you said, we had a lot in common with both being the student leaders, and we had a lot of meetings together where we collaborated through all the classes and all the schools of podiatric medicine at that time too, where we had a lot of group meetings. And so we had spent a lot of time together that way and getting to know each other. And then he just grew on me after a while.
So Chris, you went off to West Penn.
Still growing, Jeff.
Okay. You went off to West Penn for residency, right, Chris?
I did, yes.
And then Amber, you finished up at Barry and then went up to East Orlando, correct?
Yes. I did a lot of rotations up there in the Pittsburgh and the Pennsylvania area and the West Penn area. And then we ultimately decided that I was going to go somewhere for residency where we possibly wanted to practice. And I'm from Michigan, go Blue, and he's from Georgia. And so we were kind of, looking parts of the country that would be suitable for both of us to want to live and practice, and of course have good residency programs. So I ended up going to East Orlando so that when he was done practicing, we wanted to live in Florida. We liked Florida being at Miami, but didn't want to live in Miami directly. And so that was an area we were interested in with a good residency program, with good practices there and good scopes of practice. So I went there for residency, and then he came down for job after graduating residency.
Fantastic. Well, Joe and I have had lots of guests on Dean's Chat where we talked about the game of life and work-life balance. And when I follow you two on Facebook and social media, and you're going off to all the games, the Wolverines, the dogs, and you're coaching your kids, how do you keep it all together?
Ooh. Chris, you want to take that first?
Yeah, we do a really good job of making it look like we keep it all together. I think number one, but we do. We've tried to set priorities for ourselves on this from the get go. Even with practice goals and having kids and deciding to have children. And kind of how we've designed life from the get go together. One thing that has never wavered for us is our common goals as a couple, which we've then kind of, we're very goal oriented, as you can imagine, and keeping, trying to keep the main thing, both as a couple and then as parents, and then, helping each, both being career driven, honestly has helped us, where it's not one of us career driven and one of us family driven. We're both family driven, both career driven. And so together, we've really been able to navigate this, and really help each other out, help each other out professionally and personally. And so, we each have our roles with the kids' sports. We each have our roles with how you manage our world, and then the roles that we want to do as a family together. And so, traveling and games and involving the children in what we do professionally has also been helpful. And I could ramble on this topic, but Amber, I'll let you take over. But we've involved the children with our travel since they were born, which has done a lot for them, and including probably our oldest future career, and just try to really involve them in all the things that we like, and it's, I think, allowed us to develop a balance versus try to force a balance.
Yeah. So just adding on to that, we have two boys, Brock and Chase, that are now ages 14 and 11, finishing 8th grade and 5th grade here. And the younger one's involved in like 4 sports right now. Brock, our older one, is doing water polo, and he is a flight guru and wants to be a pilot and is taking pilot lessons at this point now. So as far as, doing it all, one thing, I think we're both a little bit crazy, and we can go 90 miles an hour. Some people maybe don't have that as much of a capacity and need to rest more, but especially Chris, he sleeps very little. We just going all the time. But I think we prioritize what's important to us. And like Chris was saying, it's not always that fortunate for all couples, but the things that are important to each of us tend to be very similar. And then working in the same profession, but not working in the same office together. Even when we were in the same group, we did not work in the same office together ever, but we've always co-managed the residents together, co-managed trauma call, co-managed just kind of like work stuff in that respect. So that kind of keeps that bond together of working together, doing the same thing, kind of going to a lot of the same meetings together, and as well as both really liking sports and being active with our kids. And we work hard, play hard. We'll see 50 to 60 patients in a day, but we'll take a week off to take them on a Disney cruise. And then the next week we'll be lecturing at a meeting, because we both really enjoy the teaching aspect as well, which, we can talk about later with residency and things. So I think I always say too, I've done work-life balance lectures before at different meetings, and I say we do a lot of outsourcing. We don't clean our own pool, we don't mow our own lawn, we don't clean our own house, like little things like that. We have to make those sacrifices to give up to maybe pay people to do things that aren't as important to us, that are done exactly the way we want them or anything. We let those kind of things go so that we can focus on the kids or spend 2 hours at their sports rather than doing laundry or cleaning the house or mowing the lawn. So we do spend a lot of money outsourcing things so that we can do the things that we want with our children and enjoy our time with them. And we have always been very productive in our practices, where they let us curtail our schedules a little bit. Like if there are games, we stop early, or, different things like that. Or if we have to travel somewhere to lecture, our practices have always been very good about letting us do those kind of things for us too.
That's so important.
We've been fortunate, with that, and have kind of, been able to carve this niche out, whether it be organically or on purpose. And Amber's right. Our practices have been very good to us. I think because, we show the ability to be productive and take care of the patients as patients need to be taken care of, and get the things done that need to be done from a work standpoint. And the other thing I would tell you from our standpoint is, I think professionally and personally, but professionally especially, we're each other's biggest supporter and biggest fan. As I was going through my stint with board of directors of ACFAS, never once was Amber not supportive of things that I needed to do, and meetings I needed to be on, and phone calls I had to be on. And I think being in the same profession, being active, helps that. I mean, she understands that. And now the roles are reversed. Amber's on the board of directors, and now it's my turn to be that support structure and help where I can, and do other things that can be done, all while balancing everything. So I think truly being each other's biggest fan, both professionally and personally, I think has been something that's allowed us to create the things that you see as an outside looking in person on our endeavors.
That's fantastic. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is so wonderful. And sometimes I just want to sit and just listen to people talk. But what I would love to kind of ask is, it's wonderful to have a couple that is so supportive of each other. And there are benefits both being medical, because you have a framework to understand and process what the other person is going through, but then also to support each other in these roles in leadership and academically and publications and all of the work. I mean, both of your accolades are fantastic. When you have gone through various phases of your life, did you, as you're kind of trying to prioritize, I love what you talked about, Amber, about like, there are some things you just got to let go. Like, I'm not going to clean my house. Somebody else is going to do that. And I have to be okay that somebody else is going to do it. Maybe not the way that I want it done, but you know what? Something has to give. What are some other frameworks or ways that you guys kind of looked at priorities? Because again, you can't have everything. You can't have everything, but you can have anything. So how do you have a framework, first of all? Or what are some of the ways that you kind of go through that? Because life, practice, call, academics, residents, and then kids are a whole nother level of commitment. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys handle that?
So, outsourcing is what I was saying. You just have to sit down yourself and see, what's priority to you. We also forgot to mention in that we have really great family support. Chris's parents moved closer to us from Georgia to help out. My parents fly in from Michigan very regularly, and they used to fly across the country to meetings with us. So one of my big things when we first started having kids and we were already doing meetings is I made it a priority that they would come with us to every meeting. Like, some people were excited to get away, but I had that kind of mom guilt where I was working during the week. And if I was going to fly somewhere, I wanted them to come. So we would spend the money on 2 grandparents coming with 2 children to whatever meeting, and they watch the kids. We're at the meeting. We do stuff at night with them or whatnot, and almost burning the candle at both ends on a lot of those. And so we've always brought the children along, and that's kind of what Chris was saying before with our oldest wants to be a pilot, and his first plane ride was 10 weeks old, and he's not gone more than 2 months ever in his life without being on a plane. He averages 12 trips a year on a plane. So that gave him, he loves this passion for flight as well. And so just kind of bringing them along, and then just different things in your life that you have to give up. Like, we both exercise regularly. And I would love to do it every day and love to say that I do it every day, but we with that a priority. Different things that we maybe did before we were when we were younger, we just kind of gave up some of those priorities, like sitting around at brunch for 2 hours on a Sunday, right? That doesn't happen anymore. And having drinks with friends in the middle of the day randomly, like little things like that don't happen. You have to get a little more concise with your time as well, and picking out some of those priorities. And we've always tried to integrate the kids in what we did. Like, the kids have we go to a private gym, and the kids have come with us since they were 2 years old. We've been there, and now they work out with us there too. So they used to watch movies while we worked out, and we brought them with us. So just trying to keep balance on that, and like certain little priorities you have to set for yourself. Like, my priority was always that I want to see my children every morning when they wake up. So if my start time has to be, my kids are early risers anyways, but I try to always keep my start time in the morning for either surgery or the office in a realm where I see them in the morning, say good morning. And our goal was always that we take them to school, 99% of the time in the mornings, but we do have somebody obviously that takes care of them after school or picks them up from school. But that was a priority, kind of in the day. And then there would be times where, if they have something important at school or field trips or whatever, the priority was, don't worry about the day off. Let's put in for the day off and go on that field trip, because they don't really have much field trips anymore as they get older. And then you just have to see like what your priorities are in life. Some people need to golf all the time. Chris likes to golf as an outlet sometimes. Some people like to exercise, walk, have private time. You have to figure out what your like mental health time is for you, and how you feed that with the spouse and stuff. And we think, a lot of people are like, well, you have to have date nights with your spouse, or you have to get away with your spouse. I think our bond between our work, personal relationship spends a lot more time together as a couple than other people that one works and one doesn't, or they have two totally different careers that don't even cross paths, and they don't necessarily understand daily what others do. Like we work at the same residence, and we have, work at the same hospital and take the same call schedule. And if he's got a game, I'm the one covering the call. I have 1 week, he has another, but it doesn't matter whose name is on. The residents know, just like send it to us both, and whichever one can get to it. Like I'll literally leave clinic, drive to the OR, sub him out on the last add-on surgery so he can leave and get to practice. We've done that many a times, like when he has a full surgery day and then we have add-ons and he's got to get to practice. I'm in the office in clinic. I run from the office to the OR and literally like high five him out, and then he goes. And we do stuff like that all the time to make things run. It's a lot of times the hardest part is coordinating our schedules. Okay, who has what today and what time they have to be there, and who's driving them, and going in circles sometimes with those kind of things. Chris, how would you answer that or add to that?
You covered most of it. Prioritization, we're talking about, personal things and trying to work things in. And, Amber used, whether it be, tennis or golf or working out, we just tried to incorporate that and stratify the importance of it. And, I may go to the gym early in the morning and she goes, in the afternoon, or, things of that nature. There's been many a date nights at meetings, where we go to a meeting and have dinner together there, and then we just stay after for a few minutes or things like that. So, it's give and take, and just like anything else. But I do think that us being in the same profession has allowed us to pull this off, quite honestly. So
that's such a great story. Funny story. One time I took my son with me to a lecture. We went to Seattle and up to Vancouver. And while I was lecturing in Vancouver, he was watching TV, and he watched the entire Austin Powers series, which my wife was not impressed with that when we got home. He was like in the 6th or 7th grade. But
that's perfect.
I thought
that's like
different
my
kind of education.
Right. There you go.
That's like my oldest. I was in Pennsylvania this past month and Nashville, and he came to both, and he flies flights on his iPad. He'll watch things. He'll chill in the hotel room. He likes to order room service, and you can't really say no to that. So they like that. Sometimes it's both of them, and sometimes it's just the one.
We have a saying that don't let school get in the way of your education. So
right.
Exactly.
That works out pretty well. So can we shift gears? Lots of students are listening to this podcast and very excited about doing clerkships and their future for residency programs. Can we spend a little bit of time talking about the East Orlando program? Chris, you've both been involved for 20 years now, right? From 2004.
Oh, geez, you're aging us now. Yes. So I started in Orlando. Started practice in 2004 down in South Florida, then moved up to Orlando 2005, which is when I became faculty immediately there. And then so we've been involved in residency teaching really from the get-go, and was named director of research probably 10 years ago now, probably at this point, maybe not quite that long ago. And it has been very rewarding, coming from a place where I trained. Residency training and residency education was a priority in student education, and extern education and student recruitment was a priority there. And not that it wasn't here, but it really fed the fire, or fed the lion, I guess, when I got out, of wanting to do that and emulate my mentors. And Alan Catanzari and Robert Mendocino, two very well-known and prominent figures in the profession, really groomed that desire that I had to do that. And so I was really fortunate enough to get involved in that right away, and help as we've morphed this program over the years, and it's been wonderful. And then I'll let Amber tell her story, but when we originally started, East Orlando was a 2-year program, and Amber started the third year, designed the third year, was the first 3-year trained resident out of here, and he was able to, fortunate enough to do 2 long international fellowships during that time, and and really it's not that it was an awesome program and very well known in Florida from there. And I think since then with the team and even with the same director, we've been able to bring in. We've had folks that have been involved for people longer than I have, and then new folks that we've brought into the fold and really allowed this thing to take off.
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret in the profession, but if students aren't aware, the East Orlando program is considered one of the very top programs in the country, and both of you have had such a significant influence on the program over the years. Amber, how about yourself? You dove right in head first.
Yeah. So I was mentioned that we kind of chose East Orlando as it was known as a busy surgical program back then. And it was a location where we thought we want to live, where there's a good presence in our profession and good scope and a good relationship in town with all the medicine doctors, orthopedists, et cetera. So it was a great place to practice, busy surgical area. And then Chris brought in the component from the West Penn and the levels of surgical training that he had there, and some more of the academics and the research, which helped us grow the program. As I graduated residency, I stayed on as well as an attending, and so did a couple other graduates closely under me who have worked closely with the program. And Dr. Bornstein has been our residency. He was my residency director. He's still residency director, and he is phenomenal with the autonomy that the residents get there, and then the research that we provide, and then being able to allow residents to participate in academic things nationally as they choose and set up for themselves conferences and rotations and things like that. So for me, I loved the autonomy, the busy surgical volume, and we've just gotten that busier and busier because Advent Health is out of Orlando. They have a lot of hospitals across the nation now. They're the largest non-for-profit. They're the most profitable non-for-profit hospital, and they're based out of Orlando. So we have 7 major campuses just in Central Florida, and our residents are all a participant in that. Even though the East Orlando is their home, where we take the majority of ER call out of, but they work with the docs out of all hospitals and go into all the local Advent Health hospitals there. So that keeps them very busy. It keeps the students very busy. We're known for very high surgical volumes. And after, Chris was mentioning that it was in a transition time when hospitals were going from 2-year to 3-year programs. And I got that conversion done for East Orlando with Dr. Bornstein and got it made a 3rd-year program. But I was also fortunate enough during that time that I did the AO North America courses. And then I got an AO fellowship in Dresden, Germany for trauma there. So I got to do that as well. And then I also got to do the Kurgan Ilizarov fellowship there for external fixation, all as part of the end of my 3rd year of residency too. And I wanted to bring those skills, to the future residents that were coming in. And all of those were kind of things that Chris had learned up at West Penn, and he spent time at the Paley Institute when it was up in Baltimore, when Paley was up in Baltimore there at the Rubin Institute and whatnot. So all those were things that we thought, we could bring in, and then residents, some stayed on over the years. And so the program has just gotten bigger and bigger over time.
That's fabulous. Joe, I'm sure you've got lots of good questions here.
Yeah, Amber, I would love to hear some of your thoughts about what made you interested in looking at international fellowships. I think the 2 that you did in particular are really unique opportunities. So if you could talk a little bit about kind of the decision-making that you had around doing a fellowship. And if I heard you correctly, it sounded like you actually did that during your residency?
At the end of my 3rd year. Some people
Okay.
who would do them back then, they would do them right after they graduated. But since I was the first third-year resident, and I was actually the sole second-year resident at that time too, because there was an issue with a co-resident, he had to change programs. So, and I was formulating a new program basically for the program that I was already done. I got to make my own rotations for the third year of residency. So part of what I had done over time, I had my goals and intentions were to do that AO fellowship, and had taken the courses as a first year resident and a second year resident and put the applications in. And so I got that opportunity, and our residency director at the time was very gracious to making everything very autonomous to what you want to do, and especially for me, because I was starting a new kind of curriculum for what our program was going to look like as a 3-year program. And these things you had to go out and kind of get on your own and apply and take the specific courses. But I just wanted to get some more well-roundedness to my program, and almost better my CV for my credentials for future goals of being a lecturer, leader, being a faculty and instructor for future residents, and just have that specialty training.
That's excellent.
Can you say a few words about the clerkship program and what students can expect when they come to East Orlando?
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll take that. Busyness and a lot of good education. And I think if you go back and talk to students that you have now, and students who, whether they've become residents here or not, when I have students come up to me at a conference and that I probably don't recognize because it's been a few years and now they make me feel old, and they're graduating residency. The majority of the time they have fond memories of being there and fond memories of what they learned during their month there, and that's our goal. Obviously we typically it's no secret. Most programs will typically choose residents from the crop of students that they bring in, just because they've had such a chance to spend time with them. But as long as a program is not just using it as their sole purpose, and when we don't, our goal when a student comes there is to educate them and get them prepared for the next month. And what we expect out of students in March is way different than what we expect out of students in November and December. And we want to see that growth, and seeing students that have even rotated with us in March that come back and visit in November, and just seeing that growth is special, and hearing them say, hey, you know what, this prepared me for what was to come, whether it be in interviews or other programs. So a lot of work, a lot of patient management, learning how to manage patients on the floor, learning how to function in the operating room, learning how to set up an operating room, learning what it means to be a resident, and the preparation it takes for the cases the day before, and the stamina that it takes to function, and then still building in some time to eat, sleep, and do a small project. I mean, we try to fill it up. I've always been my philosophy has always been you really get one time to do this. You get one time to be a student, you get one time to be a resident. And when you finish, you can then design what you want to in life, but you only get one chance to learn it. And you got to take full advantage of that. And we try to embrace that for the student experience while they're here. We ask them questions. There are places you go that ask, and we don't do that just to do it. We don't, the students will learn the word pimping, et cetera, about how they get questions asked. They don't just ask mundane, rudimentary questions. If we're asking questions, it's something that should be practical, something they're going to get asked other places to prepare them to do it, not just to, try to show how smart we are, right? We want it to be a very functional experience for them, something that's practical that they can use, and not just, mundane, wasted knowledge. And so that's we try to make it very real, I guess, when they're here. We just try to make it very real.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. They do, they each get a week of call. They do 1 week of call. So they work side by side with the intern and the senior residents who are taking call. They round in the morning, they go to the ER call. So they really get a feel for what it's like to be a first year resident and to be at that program. Now, 1 week is just a small snippet in time. Some of them will have a really crazy week where they have tons of trauma and tons of infections to see. Some will have a little bit of a slower time, but they'll round on those inpatients, go there, and they'll be in the OR at the main East Orlando campus almost every day during that time as well. And then during their other times, there is a whole 30 attendings that our residents regularly scrub with. So they're assigned different locations that they go to scrub surgery. They also do office rotations with myself, Chris, and Dr. Bornstein, the residency director. So they get kind of a feel of what clinics like. They get to see post-ops, just work up patients. How do you work through a patient? How do you tell us what you're thinking? And that's time, where we'll talk, okay, you need to know about a flat foot, or you need to know about first MTP joint pain. And these are the questions you're going to be asked. And we kind of go through those things with them. And especially when they're in the OR as well, we try to get them to visualize anatomy. They all know anatomy and dissect, but they don't know surgical anatomy very well yet. So we try to make sure that they get the full experience. They'll spend, maybe a day a week in the office. They'll spend the rest of the time in the OR. They'll round during that 1 week. They'll go to all the ER calls during that week of their call as well too. And they keep a pretty busy schedule. And they get a full experience, but like Chris said, they only have that 1 year of clerkships, maybe 6 clerkships to go out there and really see what's out there and work hard and try to get a program. And then you just have 3 years to train for what you're going to do for the next 30 years. So you want to get as much as you can in during that time and get the best program that you can.
Yeah, I always tell the students, you get 1,000 days to train in residency, make the most of every one. Amber, your clinic days are legendary among students.
Yeah.
I bet they are.
Busy. And Chris, to your point, whenever students rotate through the East Orlando program as clerks, you do leave an indelible mark on their career. And I think he's sometimes a lot of work, and they can appreciate what that 3-year experience would be like. So it's just unbelievable. So thank you. And I will add one more thing, then I will stop talking. When the students come in and they want to talk about clerkships, I take the United States map and I start up in like Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, San Diego. I work all the way across, and then I circle Orlando, and I say, I think you should go to Orlando.
That's great.
And I will tell you, your students come in very well prepared. And I've told you that before. I mean, you've heard this. This isn't something that I'm surprising you with because we're doing this. I've told you this on multiple times that I've been very impressed with the students that you have sent our way. They have all been very well prepared and really fit right in both academically and from a personality standpoint when they show up. And that's pretty well across the board for you guys. So job well done on your end.
We appreciate that. And I share that sentiment with the students. I say, there's a reason you came here, and now we're going to send you out into the world, and you're going to deliver and make a tremendous career and be a leader in this profession. So thank you for training all those students and all you do for the profession. That's fabulous. Joe.
Yeah, if we can kind of piggyback into the leadership kind of era as we start winding the time down, both of you have been huge leaders in our profession, both as an academic residency program, but also with ACFAS, or the American College of Foot and Ankle Surgeons. We use a lot of acronyms, and I do want to make more effort to make sure that we clarify what that is for all of the listeners that are listening. If each of you could talk a little bit about what you think makes a good leader, like the attributes of a good leader, and then some of your maybe top highlights or things that you've loved about certain leadership roles. And it could be anything, but the time is yours. We'll start with Amber.
Ooh, those are all such intuitive questions, Joe.
We try to dig deep on Dean's Chat.
What makes a good leader is always seeing the vision for others. Being a leader isn't just about promoting yourself for some reason, because honestly, most leadership roles take time away from your family or your practice or your clinic. So you're not doing it for any, financial kind of gain. It tends to be for like personal growth and for growth of those around you. So just leadership is always sometimes not making others to do things, but just getting them to follow your actions by doing the right thing and thinking of what's best for the profession as a whole, and just keeping in mind, what's good for everybody as a whole going forward too. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what else you were asking.
Your favorite leadership kind of experience or role or opportunity?
I think I'm in that now. I've been on the board of directors for ACFAS for the last couple of years, but throughout my career since 2007, I first applied to be on a committee. I was on the consumer education committee. And that just being new, bright-eyed, out into practice and being real young and just seeing what's done on a committee and watching the board liaisons and the chair committee leaders who had been there was just very eye-opening experience. And then to be an old person now, 17 years into practice, it's kind of crazy. It's a really short ride. I think residency felt longer than the last 17 years of my life, actually. So I think now my favorite leadership role is being on the board of directors, because I feel like it's the culmination from where I started. I've been on a committee every year since 2007, when I first became on a committee, and have led some committees and been on different committees. But I think that role now, kind of being in the 10,000 feet view, I guess, of the organization, and after having been on each role of the committee, is the most fun for me right now.
That's great.
Yeah, mine's pretty easy on this one. Some of the best parts of leadership is learning how to be a leader, and then converting, different walks of life. So if, as an athlete, where your role I played college baseball, and your role as a freshman is a lot different than your role as a senior, right? And that's whether you're starting or not starting or whatever that role is. Your role in that group of people morphs, and you learn by watching others as you go through, and you transition that into a professional world. You start as a worker bee, you're a committee member, you're getting work done, but you're watching people lead, and then you get an opportunity to lead a committee. And so, as you work your way through the board, it kind of does the same thing. And, collaboration was always a strength of mine. And, as you work your way up kind of the leadership chain, it becomes less important for you to speak and more important for you to listen and help kind of direct and steer. And that for me was the best part. It wasn't, the worker bee stuff is good, and I'm good at worker bee stuff, but learning how to lead a group of people who had a common goal and try to get that group of people to that goal, not dictate the goal, not dictate how we're doing it, but just get some semblance of collaboration and get the 12 individual thought processes into kind of one to kind of come up with a team thought. That's a lot of fun. And the other thing for me from a personal standpoint, some of my best friends in this profession don't live in Orlando. Now, I have a lot of friends in Orlando in this profession, so if they listen to this, I don't want them to think I don't like them. But some of my best friends in this profession that I may talk to every week are not here. And that's because of these leadership roles and professional associations we've been associated with. And that is a really cool thing. Some of it started as students, but some of it has carried on into our professional life and the ability to meet people and like-minded people and commonalities and spend social time together, not just work time together. And that's been probably one of the most gratifying things for me, is the friendships and relationships that we've had a chance to make over time. So
that's fantastic.
Like
awesome.
Dr. Jensen, like Jeff, as an example, we met various ways, but we met through some leadership stuff, and that, and that's, that's how we end up here tonight is those types of things. So it's really cool.
I remember going to the party when you were inducted in as the president at ACFAS. We had such a good time.
It was awesome. That was good.
Absolutely. So I have one more question for each of you. Where do you see podiatric medicine and surgery going in the future? What do you see 15, 20 years from now? Amber.
Ooh. I don't know if we have enough time for this. No, I'm just kidding. So I think we're on a great path of bringing stronger education and the the residents that come out now and the programs are much stronger than they even were, back when Chris and I were students in the day. And I think that it's just going to continue to become stronger and stronger as we're respected with more training, more leadership, and more education and more advancement in foot and ankle products that make us put out good product of surgery as well. And we continue to get more and more respected as a profession as well with the work that we can do. And it does, take leaderships of all different types across the board to make sure that we keep advancing forward as a profession.
Chris?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. Overall, we have our challenges. Every medical profession does, and every medical profession has gone through, similar challenges, whether it been the osteopathic, physicians, years ago. We're making the strides, we're making the right changes, and we have to understand that though a lot of us would like things to happen tomorrow, a lot of these things are generational changes, and I fully expect a full physician definition, down the line. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think there's a lot of thoughts on how to get there, and it's going to take a lot of collaboration to do it. But time will allow this if everybody keeps a level head and continues to make the changes that are important. And so I think we're headed in the right direction. We have a recruitment issue we need to deal with, and whatever that plan is, and as things continue to try to improve. But again, we're not the only medical profession that has this issue. It's a medicine problem as well. And so I think we keep our head down, we keep improving the training, we keep improving the training programs. Like Amber said, the level of training, and the number of places to get the level of training that we have now have just continued to improve. And I guess, when I came out, you could name the programs you needed to go to. And now you can't name them because there's so many of them that will provide you the education and training that you can get. And I try to tell students this now is there are plenty of places that you will fit and get all the training that you need to be successful. Now, the advent of fellowship programs as well, I think we're just moving in the right direction. And I think the future still remains bright.
I agree. Joe, any last comments?
I think that is a beautiful way to end it. The future is bright. It really is. There are more good things than bad.
Yes, there are. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I always think it's interesting because at the colleges, we lay this foundation for the students, but the people that make such a big difference are the residency directors and the attendings and the doctors that are bringing their patients to the hospital to train the next generation of attendings. Thank you for all you do for the profession, both in Orlando and nationwide. Thank you for all your contributions.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This has been great. So the next time we do this, we'll do it in the morning, and we can all drink coffee together.
Well, we don't want to. We don't want to.
Beautiful segue.
Yeah, we don't want to drink coffee together till we get a Dean's Chat cup in each of your hands.
Oh,
nice! Look at that.
Yep.
That was a softball. You were welcome. That was perfect.
Oh, wow!
It's almost like we asked you to do that.
Yeah,
I know.
That was completely unplanned to all
that was
listeners.
awesome.
All right.
I want to see how much coffee you would need if you got up at our morning time, since you're 3 hours behind us there.
Oh my gosh. I was in New York City this past weekend. We went to some shows and had a good old time. And then when I got back to Phoenix Monday morning, I was up at 3:30 in the morning, it's just crazy. 3 hours is a long time,
Well, if you hold that mug up, it is a very large mug.
That's a big
so
mug.
You can get a sufficient amount of coffee in there.
We started with the small ones and they keep getting bigger. Next thing you know, we're going to be doing like Yeti cups or something.
Yeah.
In your face. That's great. I love it.
I like it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for joining us. And to
thank you so much.
All of our listeners out there, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you being part of Dean's Chat, and we will continue to bring awesome guests like Amber and Chris. Thanks again, Joe, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks, Joe.
You're
Great
welcome.
time. Thank you.
You're welcome.